Hi, my name is Laura, and today I'll be showing you how to make vinyl waterproof stickers. I started making stickers earlier this year, and I have produced quite a few. I think I've made somewhere in the ballpark of 1,000 stickers this year. So needless to say, I've got the process ironed down. To start, let's go over our supply list. In terms of equipment, you will need some way to draw digitally. This could be a iPad and Procreate. This could also be drawing by hand and then scanning that art into your computer. Whatever works best for you will be totally fine. Additionally, you're going to want some form of a laser jet printer. At home, I use an Epson EcoTank, and in studio, we have an HP of some sort. The branding doesn't really matter so long as you approve of the printing quality. Lastly, you're going to want a cutting machine of some sort. This could be a Cricut, this could be a Cameo. I personally use the Siser Juliet, and a lot of this tutorial is going to focus on how to use the Juliet. In addition to the Juliet, you're going to want a computer. This could be a Mac or a PC, but this shouldn't be a mobile device. Reason being is the Juliet is operated using the companion software, which is called Leonardo Design Studio. And Leonardo Design Studio, unfortunately, can only run on either PC or Mac. So make sure that you have a compatible computer that can run the software. Let's talk about materials you'll need. So first, you're going to want to have some vinyl sticker paper. And the cool thing about this paper is, in addition to being slightly heavier than normal printer paper, there is both a tacky side as well as a smooth side to this paper. So that's how you're going to get the stickeriness of the sticker. I also like to use a laminate on top of the sticker. This provides extra durability and makes it truly waterproof. And yeah, those are all of our materials. So let's dive into the software and talk about how to design your sticker.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, New, and this creates a new untitled Leonardo Design Studio file for us. We're going to go into Artboard, and by default, it typically doesn't have print and cut job selected, but that is indeed what we want. For me, because the paper that I use, the adhesive vinyl paper, it's US letter sized, so I'm going to set that here as well. And cool, we have our canvas set. Now we're going to import our files. So let's see. Today we're going to make this orange tabby cat. Okay, so when you're importing the image, you're telling Leonardo Design Studio what parts of the image you want versus what parts you want omitted. The default settings for the software are actually pretty good. So I'm going to choose print and cut and see everything that has this kind of checkered background is going to be removed and everything that is maintained is going to stay. So LDS has actually done a really good job of selecting the image that I want, so I'm going to click next. Similarly here, you can change the smoothing levels, but I think it looks pretty good already. To be honest, I don't entirely know what these are referring to. I just kind of fiddle with them until I get a look that I like in this section. The last step, you can choose cutting contours, but I usually choose to do this at a later time. And so let's hit finished. And here's the image. This is a bit larger than I would like to have it. As you can see, this is 5 inches, which is quite a beefy sticker. So usually I'll size this down to just under 2 inches for the width. And I will click this star icon to build contours. And for my purposes and for like basic die cut stickers, you're gonna keep print and cut logo selected, but you're going to add a little bit of offset. And I find 0.05 inches is pretty good for a 2-inch sticker. Having offset is really good because if your cutter is slightly misaligned, it's pretty forgiving if you have enough offset. However, if you have 0 offset, then those tiny mistakes become a lot more apparent. So yeah, this looks good to me. So we're gonna hit OK. And here's our sticker. So for me, I like to use up every inch of the sticker sheet, like as much as possible. So we're gonna move this guy to the upper left corner. So now seems like a good time to talk about the boundaries of the file. So the Siser Juliet will have four 90-degree brackets printed onto the page. It is currently not visible on screen, but when you eventually print this off, they will be there. So every image that you import is going to have four little brackets of its own. And one thing you have to do is ensure that the brackets are within the bounds of the sheet. So here, if it turns red, you're going to want to nudge it back until it turns black again. Now that the initial sticker is in a good spot, I'm going to copy and paste the image until we've completely filled the page. One tool that you might find helpful during this process is the Align tool. So if you go to the rightmost icon in the toolbar, you'll see that it looks kind of like a bar chart. These are the Align options. So Align options that I end up using a lot are Align left or Align top, and this just straightens out your any images. For some reason, some of the alignment tools only exist under the Arrange drop-down menu. I'm not sure why LDS was designed this way, but if you want to distribute things vertically, you have to go through the Arrange menu, whereas if you want to do it horizontally, you can either do it through the Arrange menu or through the toolbar shortcut. I don't know. I didn't design the software. It's very strange. Because, like I said before, I really hate waste, I'm going to also add in some tiny stickers, which I just call my minis or my sprinkles. To do that, I'm going to go into import. I'm going to grab a blobcat. And this is actually a good example of an image that will require some fiddling during import. So as you can see, it's an image on a white background. However, white is also part of the design component, both in the feet as well as in the belly. So if I click next, it's going to think that these white bits are background and therefore should be excluded. Typically, what I end up doing is rather than fiddle around with like removing the background, I'll go onto traced contours and I will select or deselect include holes. And so now that it's not selected, the belly is considered part of the image. It's done a good job of capturing these toes. However, it's completely missed this little toe here. And so when I see that, I'm going to adjust the minimum contour area. So once we dial that down, that toe is captured. And in the following screen, we can see that everything's been captured. And so when I have this scenario where there are kind of floating bits here, so like these toes are not attached to the rest of the cat, this is the scenario where I will adjust the contour offset to kind of make sure everything is clumped together. And that's our kitty cat. So we're gonna drag him off to the side. I don't like resizing on top of existing stickers because software can be kind of finicky. So I prefer to do it off to the side. I'm going to add a little bit more of an offset. Looks good to me. And this guy is a little big, but we shall rotate him a bit and boop, make him a bit smaller. Now I'm going to repeat the process that I did with the orange cats, only now I need to be mindful that the stickers do not overlap. But yeah, I'll get to work on that and I'll be back when I have the final file. Well, through movie magic, I finished adjusting it. The last thing that I'd like to mention that I forgot to record was if you select all of the stickers, what you want to do is align to page center for both. This is like the x-axis and this is the y-axis. When I go to send the design, you'll see why that's important. So let's hit send design. I completely ignore this window. And now we have a print page as well as a cutting contours page. So on the print page, you have the option to recenter, which I do recommend doing. Hopefully if you recentered previously, this won't do anything. But yeah, that looks good to me. So I would hit send to printer and then this would get printed on my adhesive paper. Now that we're done with the software side of things, we're ready to move on to printing. So the first thing you're going to want to do is unload the plain paper from your LaserJet printer and then load it up with the sticky adhesive vinyl paper. What I'm doing here is I'm just checking that I have the sticky side up by peeling a corner of the paper. And once I verify that sticky side is indeed up, I'm ready to add these to the printer. Now that your printing is done, you're going to grab a sheet of adhesive laminate as well as your sticker sheet. And you're going to want to grab a sheet that's slightly bigger than your sticker sheet just for ease of application. So I'm going to start by brushing off any debris from the sticker paper, and then I'm going to peel off the adhesive laminate. You can see that I'm bending the backing paper a little bit. This reveals a small section of stickiness and helps me align my paper more accurately. This can be kind of challenging. Honestly, I messed up a lot when I first started doing it this way, but I've been told and I've experienced anecdotally that the adhesive laminate tends to perform a bit better than heat laminate. So power through it and you'll eventually figure out a method for applying the laminate successfully. Here I am with a little scraper just to get rid of any air bubbles, though don't worry too much if some bubbles still exist. We will fix that once the cutting machine starts cutting. Now that your sticker page is laminated, you're ready to start the cutting process. So I've brought out my cutting mat and I am lining up the edge of my sticker page to the grid lines that are on the cutting mat. This doesn't need to be perfect, but you should try to avoid any large errors. The cutting machine is quite intelligent, but if your image is too askew, it might not cut properly. And so we're going to load it in through the mouth of the cutting machine. And in the back of the machine, there's a lever that is typically positioned downwards. But if we pull it up, that will lock the machine into place. And now it will be very difficult for us to shift the cutting mat back and forth. All right, I've changed camera angles because it requires some close-up work. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to move the blade of the Juliet into its starting position. The blade is the red piece. It's actually the little pokey bit sticking out of the red piece. And what we want is we want it to be aligned with the bracket that has the little triangle arrow. This can be a little difficult to see, but luckily the Juliet has this camera function, and this should show us some crosshairs to see where the blade is aligned. As long as it's pretty close, you're probably good. Now that your machine has been loaded, you're going to go back to Leonardo Design Studio and send the cut contours to the machine. I usually send them with the speed set to 10 and the pressure set to 61, but your machine might be different, your materials might be different, and so I highly encourage you to play around with the settings. The Siser Juliet has some auto test features, so you can test out different pressures and speeds. But yeah, I'm gonna let the machine run for a bit, and I'll be back when it's finished. Okay, so I've unloaded the mat from the machine, and as you can see, those air bubbles that we saw earlier still exist, but they're pretty easy to rub away using your finger or a spatula or a credit card, whatever you prefer. The reason being is now the laminate has been punctured around each sticker, and so the gas has somewhere to escape to. And yeah, here I'm going to remove the unused bits of the sticker paper. Take it slow and easy. You don't want to tear your stickers, and you also don't really want to leave paper residue on your cutting mat. The longer your cutting mat stays sticky, the longer you can rely on it to get you consistent results with the cutting machine. So I just use a combination of, my hands and the spatula to release the outer edges of the sticker sheet. When I'm trying to release the individual stickers, I'll usually kind of roll the cutting mat like this in order to create some gaps between the cutting mat and the sticker. I've had a couple of cutting mats snap on me by doing this, so make sure to be gentle. But yeah, after it's been loosened up, I find it pretty easy to just peel them off. And that's about it. So here's the finished sticker. You can see I can peel off the backing and then the adhesive side sticks to my thumb. I tried to show a close-up, but unfortunately I'm filming on my phone and so it's not the highest quality camera. But there you go. There's the tiny little blob cat. And I think he'd look really nice on our cute little Juliet. So here I am positioning him, and that's where he's gonna live from now on. So yeah, thanks for watching my tutorial, and I hope that was helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions if you are confused. Thanks!